radar. Okay, hold on. We were completely wrong about these retro Yu-Gi-Oh formats. Oh, I know what it is. Oh my god, I know what this is. I know what this is. This is just a video where he plays a bunch of old formats and then just trashes them, right? He says they're either boring or I guarantee this is just 12 minutes of him trashing old formats. He plays Go and he's like, it's just whoever draws Pot of Greed first wins. Like, that's not what it is. I guarantee you that's it. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be trashing old formats and like, this isn't, where's Kit Kalos? How come I can't summon Kit Kalos in tier format? It's so bad. Or it's just, I don't know. It's just going to be.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka
Good piece, Guy Fox.
Today we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh formats. Yu-Gi-Oh formats are impermanent, to borrow a phrase from Yu-Gi-Oh. They only exist for a short period of time, and since there's 55,000 legal cards at any given time in Yu-Gi-Oh, frequently that means that formats go unsolved. In fact, almost every single format that's received historic attention,
this is true.
Things like Edison or GOAT, has changed dramatically from how it was played at the time. So today I'm asking you, what formats changed as a result of increased attention once people started taking them more seriously?
Formats that change when people start. Let's go Edison. There really aren't that many that people take seriously. It's really like just what's Dino format though? Oh, I'm sorry, Toss. But did Toss actually change? I feel like Toss and Hat haven't really changed that much, right? Like it's not like you're gonna go into Toss format and not play Striker and then Thunder. No one's like, yo, I'm gonna play Fluffles. You know? Like 2009, that's Toss format, right? I'm not gay, but my boyfriend is Baldo. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of answers, chat. Is there? Unless I'm just wrong.
2012, it was widely understood that there were only a couple of decks you could be playing, and one of them was Dark World. Now, Dark World historically flopped on release, was not able to convert at the started taking them more seriously. In 2012, it was widely understood.
How's he putting it in? Like, I don't get how you say an entire year. That's not a format, is it, chat? Like, I am 41 seconds in and I already got a gripe. I thought a format correlated like with a ban list or a core set. Hat is the realization that I never thought that deck was like that good, to be honest. I thought Fire Fist was like a better deck. I'm still shocked that Fire Fist didn't win Nats, but I digress. But 2012, if you're going to say 2012 only had 2 playable decks, like, what? What are you talking about? Like, TG Stun won a YCS in 2012, Dino Rabbit, Dark World. There's like 5 different decks that won YCSs. So how is only one playable?
There were only a couple of decks you could be playing, and one of them was Dark World. Now, Dark World historically flopped on release, was not able to convert at the YCS after which it was released, but using modern deck building principles, we found that a significant amount of those formats, pretty much in a row, the best thing you could be playing by a country mile is Dark World. That's because previous Dark World builds are like loaded up on conditional traps and like occasionally make it to Grapha. But nowadays, we would just throw in, like, Into the Void, Upstart Goblin, and maybe 3 Skill Drain and call it a day. Like, it is unbelievable that our understanding that Dark World isn't good comes from a bunch of people who are registering decks with Dimensional Prison in it. Anyway, let's see what you all have come up with. GOAT, probably one of the best answers in the thread. A lot of this has to do with increased understanding of deck building and game knowledge, but modern GOAT is a completely different format compared to the original incarnation. Chaos Control used to be considered the end-all be-all, now it's like the 7th best deck. So GOAT format is populated.
Yo, this is like, hold on, is this OCG or something? How are they playing Cyber-Sided GOAT format? At first I was like, this looks very Baboon Burnish. It basically is Baboon Burn just without Baboon. But like, how are they playing Cyberstein? There's no Cyberstein. There's no Cyberstein in this format. Hold on, wait. That might not be true. Was Stein the Shonen Jump promo chat for GOAT format? Is that why it is? I never thought about that. It is. Stein's the freaking So okay. This is I hate this. I hate this. Stein is the freaking it's the Shonen Joke promo. So at any time at like the first event there could have been literally 1 Stein or 0 Stein. But Zoomers are like, yo, I'm gonna play 3 Stein in my deck. Like that wasn't possible. That wasn't possible at the time. 2004 seems legit, yeah. Because I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, there's a small chance that Cyberstein could have actually just been the YCS promo.
Largely, historically, by a bunch of exceptionally slow control decks. This is because the top players have the ability to, like Magic the Gathering, out-resource their opponents over the course of a long game, doing a death by 1,000 cuts type of thing. These days, we recognize the power of disrespect. And in a format that includes cards like Giant Trunade, you might as well be trying a jammy-ass combo deck where you've got a couple of draw steps to get things going before your opponent is able to mount any sort of offensive. At the most recent GOAT Control event, the top 2 slots were taken up by this, which is a combination of, like, Cat Combo and Panda Burn, if you're familiar with those decks. You would...
Yeah, I understand this. This is again, this is like it's like theory that comes from the Baboon Burn deck from GX. And Lily's in that deck too, and it's a lot of Earth monsters. But I'm really wondering about like it's because the Last Will was legal at 3? Really? Chat, Last Will was legal at 3 in GOAT format? Really? And no one, like, that's surprising. I mean, I got the Giant Trunade thing. But you're telling me Last Will is at 3 in GOAT format? Really? Yep. Wow. Because, like, that with Exile Force, Cannon Soldier, yo. Because summon a lot of monsters.
Use Rescue.
Maybe all players were just maybe we just didn't have infinite time to like break a freaking format. You know what I mean? Like again, I don't like this idea of we knew this is such an NBA argument. We knew Gen is like we're so much better than those old 80s unskilled plebs. They're all plumbers. It's like, yeah, because you've had 20 fucking years to sit there and play a format. Duh, you should be a little better.
Copies of Gyaku, Girei, Panda, and then you would flip up like Ojama Trio, and then the Gyaku, Girei, Pandas would get really big and be able to pierce and walk over the Ojama cards and do a bazillion damage, all facilitated by the fact that Last Will is inexplicably at 3 during this format. This is a really powerful strategy for sure. And is one of the reasons why the GOAT format All-Stars have really been bumped down to Tier 2 status at best. Almost the entirety of 2006. At this point, Cyberstein had been reprinted in Dark Beginnings 2 and the Sidra fusions were legal, but it wasn't until mid to late 2006 that people realized Cyberstein should be a splash in everything, causing an...
Now this is beautiful Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is also true. At some point, chat, in 2006, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community just learned, like, Cyberstein should go in every deck. That's what I call it. The random Stein. Yeah, OG Verte. This was OG Verte, chat. At some point in 2000, I think it was because like the first half was all like Chaos Return, and I think Chaos Sorcerer might have gotten banned in like midway through 2006 at like maybe the April ban list or some shit like that, chat. And then everyone just like learned, oh yeah, Cyberstein is just like insane in every... I played it in Dark World, chat. Like, Cyberstein was awesome. The random Stein. No Master Duel. No. We ain't talking Master Duel, like real Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ban in December of 2006. I'm going to be honest with you, post-GOAT deck building is really, really bad. It's unfortunate because it did contain one of the most broken cards in the history of time, Cyberstein. At a time when Last Will was legal, you could really easily tribute for a Monarch, activate Last Will, go Cyberstein into... Cyber Twin Dragon and just dome your opponent for a bazillion damage. An interaction that basically ruined Reaper format when we took a look at it a couple of years later. Fairies. Only recently in Edison have people realized Christia is a hell of a boss monster backed by the Mini Heralds and Honest. Mix in some Chaos and Dimensional Alchemist with the good DM band stuff and it makes a hell...
Well, no one played Herald of the Orange Light. I'm going to be honest. If you'd have asked me when the Herald cards came out, not Perfection. I think Perfection is like from Stardust Overdrive or something. But if you'd asked me about like when the colored Heralds came out, like the green and I probably would have been like, I don't fucking know. Because like these cards weren't played. These cards weren't played until Tritron or something. Like, no one played these freaking cards, chat. Like, Honest, yeah. People played Honest the day the set, like, Light of Destruction came. No one played this card. Like, this is such, what's it called? I don't see color.
So we are going to probably have to talk about...
No, Counter Fairies didn't play it, because, like, why would you play it in Counter Fairy? Which, I have a video coming out about Counter Fairies. This is a very current Edison innovation. Like, why would you play that in Counter Fairies when you could just play Counter Traps, which are just 1-for-1s and don't lose advantage? Like, yeah, I mean,
about Edison 4 or 5 times over the course of this thread. Not only was Edison a historically unexplored, extremely fun format, it has gone through stages of being unexplored as a modern retro format as well. At the end of the day, despite the fact that the format has transformed pretty radically, there's like maybe 500 total playable cards in the format. Like cards that you would consider slotting into your deck under any circumstance. Edison hits the sweet spot for me of low enough power level that a lot of shit isn't gate kept by like build-a-board combo decks, and expansive enough card pool that there are a lot of extremely playable cards we just did not ever see throughout the entirety of the format. Fairies is a perfect example of that. It includes a significant amount of cards that are just straight up baller. Christia, of course, is the heart and soul of the deck, but maybe even more important, Dimensional Alchemist. No one, I mean None, had to spell it in my head real quick, was playing Nova Herald. No one was playing Shining Angel in 2010. And it's
so hold up. The video chat that's going to be coming out at some point. Here, hold on. This guy. Let me see if I can find a picture right quick. Sort by view. This guy. His name is Yannick Debut. He played Counter Fairies. This was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, chat. It's like the best Counter Fairies has ever done historically at an event. He played Nova Summoner. he played Nova Summoner. And I think he played Shining Angel. I think he may have played 2-1, but he played these cards to summon Arcana Force the Fool from his deck. Because in Glad format, chat. Now he was Canadian. He was Canadian, but I think like a French Canadian, kind of like a coder, like from Quebec or some shit like that. Anyways, he used Nova Summoner, chat, to summon Arcana Force the Fool from his deck. Because if you got the protection, I think it's if you flip tails, chat, on Arcana Force the Fool, it can't be targeted by your opponent, which in Glad format meant the card was basically unkillable. Like, how would Glad's out that card, chat? No Murmillo, no Grizaris, no Book of Moon. You can't bottomless it because it basically is unkillable. So you could just play the game he could just play the game at his pace. So, and also people did play Dimensional Alchemist. There was Ryan Spicer's Chaos deck from like 2009. This is so misinformed.
Turns out that they're potentially top tier meta threats just because of how they interact with that series of cards.
Yeah, chat, I know what this card does. Dimensional Alchemist, I think it's 1300 attack. It gains 500, I believe, when you normal summon it. It might be a trigger, or it might be ignition. I think it's a trigger. I think it's when it's summoned, you can banish the top card of your deck to gain 500 attack, and then when Dimensional Alchemist is destroyed by battle, you get to add a banished card to your hand. I don't think that the banished card has to be light or dark. I think it's any banished card. He was saying specific. I know, I'm just saying, like, these cards were played.
Arts. The Heralds were considered as part of like the Herald deck, but supplementing them.
Okay, so they all came out in Stardust. I'm pretty sure Herald of Perfections from Stardust Overdrive. So I guess they all came out in that set.
Like just playing a critical mass of them and being able to find them over the course of a long game is actually crazy strong. Real Ed heads know that Zombie as an Engineer Pure was popularized after Keegan held a special Halloween themed tournament in 2021.
The hell?
This sounds stupid and like there's no way that this is how it happened, but it is 100% true. For a significant amount of time, Zombies were imagined to be kind of a mid-Edison deck, and then Keegan held a Halloween event in which there was not only a prize for winning, but a prize for the zombie player who went the farthest, for like Halloween, right? Well, a zombie player ended up winning. And as a result, people kind of took another look at the archetype and recognized, holy shit, Goblin Zombie is basically a card that should have been printed in 2020, but is randomly legal in 2010. The way that it and Pyramid Turtle interact with Mizuki is crazy. This card doesn't miss timing, so if sent to the graveyard with a Diva to make a Bryonic, you can do some truly heinous shit, and the rest is history. Now Zombies is like a top-tier thing you can...
Keegan is E3, by the way. And by the way, I actually just the other day learned what E3 Yu-Gi-Oh is. That's Ed, and Edison, right? It's big Edison channel. Am I correct? Because when you say E3, I'm thinking video game conference. Like, my brain does not go Yu-Gi-Oh when you say E3. But now I literally just discovered that E3 means Ed, and Edison, the Yu-Gi-Oh channel.
Can put in a deck. Another great example is Welidad. Yes, Welidad was only brewed within the last year because people only discovered Power Well exists. I don't think this is necessarily true. I mean, people knew this card existed from a couple of like progression series style things.
Special summon any number of level 2 or lower psychic monsters from your graveyard. Okay. I'm gonna be on, like, what are we doing? I mean, we just summoning Krebons back in Teledad? This doesn't seem good. It seems like a break. I mean, I guess you could not bet. Really? We just using this to make more level 8s? People just thought Teleport is better because it's so much on the deck. Because Teleport's a freaking starter.
Beforehand,
well, not a starter,
I think
but you get my
Keegan
point.
making it his baby is responsible for a lot of people thinking the deck is playable. Getting in on the ground floor to be one of the billions to say Edison. We are back to Edison. This person's name, by the way, MBT Reply Guy at Joey Wheeler Vivo. Incredible name. It's kind of interesting how sparsely available some cards were back in the day compared to now, and how that specifically has led people to discover a lot of new strats. So certainly a significant amount of the cards that ruin old formats.
Yeah, I think, yeah, this is a good point. So the whole new Cyberstein thing of like, yeah, we play Cyberstein and GOAT. Yeah, because as we said earlier, chat, Cyberstein was a Shonen Jump. I keep saying YCS. Cyberstein was a Shonen Jump promo card, so no one had it. Absolute Zero was not legal in Europe. I forget how this card came out, but I'm 100% sure, chat, that this card was like not legal in Europe for a while. I know the Shining was too.
Cyberstein specifically is a great example. We're just not as available as cards are available nowadays, which means that people had less of an opportunity to test with them, especially during times when there wasn't like Dueling Network available. A lot of the reason a lot of these like pre-2012 formats are so unexplored is because people didn't really have the tools to explore them. Fire-Water format. Turns out the best decks were neither fire nor water. Yeah, so Fire-Water format is well known for Mermail and Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear. No, Fire Fists in general. This is because a significant...
Bro, I want to do a video on this card so bad, chat. I don't think people understand, like, how insane this card was. There was a time where this was the best monster in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought about, like, a pretty significant margin. I really don't think the average Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, chat, especially if you're a Zoomer, I don't think you understand, like, how good Fire Fist Bear was. Like, resolving a single bear could just... It was, like, game-winning. Like, normal summon bear, launch Tinky, attack directly, get another Tinky, activate Tinky. Like, the amount of advantage you could get off of that was +2, which is fucking insane in a control format.
Fire Fists in general.
Iris Fenrir 2011.
This is because a significant amount of pro players were convinced that Mermail was the best deck. It had a high skill cap. There was a lot you could do with each individual hand. It was a John...
Okay, so hold on. We're talking Cosmo Blazer. Oh, hold on. Wait. Is he going to say Wind Up? Yeah, I think he's going to say Wind Up. Yeah. I think he's going to say Wind Up. But then Wind Up got... Hold on. Yeah. So I think the answer is Wind Up. But then Zemighty got banned and it became Mermail. It became like instantly Mermail. But I'm pretty sure he's going to say Wind Up. This is how much of a real one. After Cosmo Blazer? Yeah, because Abyss Rising comes first, then Cosmo Blazer comes after. And Mermail was still... Or excuse me. I think Zemighty was at 1. And yeah, like Wind Up was like technically the best deck, I think. It wasn't at 3.
Combo player's dream. Fire Fist was a part of the format because it was the easier deck.
True.
The understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh formats at the time was that there would be one big ass combo deck, there'd be one deck that normal summons 1 card and then sets 4. And this was that one. It had a pretty good matchup spread as well versus the decks that people were playing. But with modern deck building principles, we have discovered the best decks are neither of these. They're not the best decks in this format. Let me just read you off the top 4 from Wolf02, which I believe is the most recent Fire Water format event. First place was Gadget playing Tin Goldfish. Second place was Boojin. Third place was Dark World. And fourth place was, no, there's no way this is real. It was fucking Trick or Treat. Ghost Trick Madolce. Meowmix says,
I don't even know. I don't even know how to respond to that, man. I don't even know how to respond to that. I went with Wind Up because it won a YCS, but hey, who needs to win a YCS when you can top an Ed Edison, 40-person tournament? Like,
well, the control resource loops of Hat format are still powerful, and kind of the reason the format is remembered fondly. Hindsight has shown that balls to the wall combo decks like Sylvan were clearly the best things you could be playing. Correct. So Hand Artifact Trap Tricks is an incredibly well-loved deck. It is also incredibly slow. It plays cards like these that you set and wait for your opponent to crash into in order to advance your own game plan. It plays back row that has to be set up over the course of a couple of turns and popped with other back row, or your opponent accidentally popping stuff in order to get any value off of. In practice, there are a number of decks in this format that are just unbelievably unbeatable 2020 style combo decks. The most popular of these, of course, is Sylvan.
Hold on. Isn't Maxi legal in this? I'm pretty sure Maxi's at like 3. I don't agree with that. I super don't agree with that. Cause like you can make a big board with Sylvan, but if your opponent goes like normal summon Ice Hand attack, aren't they breaking your whole board? Because you're going to end with what, Mount Sylvania, chat? Like, either one of these is like cracking your whole board, right? That's the whole point of these fucking cards. Is I do understand you have to set them, but like, dog, what are you doing with... I understand Sylvan can make combos, but like, unless you're making monster negation, you're going to have... Unless you summon everything in defense. The reason these cards were so powerful, chat, is because when they were set, they were so fucking hard to kill. If I just go normal summon Ice Hand, attack into like... Hermitry, okay, pop Mount Sylvania, summon Fire Hand, attack. I'm gonna take a lot of damage, but I'm gonna kill a lot of your fields. Like, I don't agree with this.
But this one's weird because not only do we know now that Sylvan is good, we knew back then too. In fact, a group of professional players kept the deck fully realized and actualized under wraps until the WCQ season, when they could basically bust it out and sweep. So this is a really old profile of Cody.
Good God, that's Cody Angeloff. People barely play the hands now. They play Cat, Card D, Artifact, Trap Tricks. Sylvan isn't good this format, says Phobic. Okay, fair enough. Well, MBT's claiming it's the best deck. And I'm like, I'm just not buying that.
Cody Angeloff playing Sylvans at a TCG player $2,500 tournament. And this is like the first Sylvan top there is. I don't know why, but basically they had scouted out this TCG player tournament as the testing ground for this deck for the WCQ season. Yeah, and as a result, like, this random fucking TCG player event was suddenly stormed by this deck that no one was prepared for right before the biggest tournament of the year. It was so sick. This is also a period in Yu-Gi-Oh's history where pro players were just lying to people. They would just like top with a deck that was suboptimal, hype it up in a deck profile to get other people net decking them, and then just play a deck like this. I don't know how true this is, but after talking to some people who played Dual historically, they said Tellarknight wasn't as good as people thought back then. 100% correct. Tellarknight is one of the most overhyped decks of all time. It was not competitive.
I don't agree with this, chat. Is this true? About what about the pros hyping. There's supposed to be some credence to that with Patrick Hoban essentially smoke screening what he was going to run at Nats a couple of times, but like, I don't know if it was a widespread thing like MBT's portraying it. I don't agree with this. I don't think that Tellarknight was ever conceived to be the best deck, or even like the second best deck. It never won a YCS. Weren't they like 90? Are you talking about what card? Because hold on, I played Tellarknights, chat. Deneb was an Ultra, Nova was an Ultra, Deltros was Secret Ghost. I think... God, I'm trying to remember how much Deneb cost. Because I think I paid $90 for a playset of Denebs. But I also feel like I paid $90 for the freaking counter trap, chat. So, like, yeah, Tellarknights was expensive. It wasn't a what's it called. But I don't think the general consensus was ever like Tellarknights is the best. Actually, no, for a very short point of time, yeah, it was. Because Tyree Tinsley won an ARG. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. And Tyree Tinsley, that's my boy, chat. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tyree Tinsley ARG. This is why. Hold on. I'm fairly certain, chat, that Tyree won an ARG. I don't think it was a Y. Dude, if it was a YCS, then I feel stupid. Trevier was. This was before Trevier. Anime Night. Yeah, this is when Tellarknights. Let's see. Monarchs. Necros. Ah, yep, here it is. Hold on. Oh, maybe he got second. I could have swore he won. ARG Atlantic City. Dude, I swear he won with Satellarknight. And then it says first 16th. It doesn't show who won though. All right, I'm gonna go with where it says second place. What are they doing without Trevier? What do you mean? You got Nova. You have Nova. You have a Fiendish Chain. You know, you have Nova, Fiendish. I'm like 90% certain that. What's it called? Bro, now it says Kashtira. Okay, hold on. Let me. All right, what's it called? They can't recycle. Oh, Aaron Furman won. Okay, yeah. Here we go, chat. So at this ARG in Atlantic City, Jersey, shout outs to BP. The finals was a Satellarknight mirror match. And from this event, which was not a YCS, chat, everyone was like, yo, Satellarknights is the best deck. It's better than Shadows. It's better than Burning Abyss. And like, there was an insane hype. But then, you know, Tellarknights went to the YCS and got fucking clapped. So I do agree with MBT's take. Yeah, based on this, I do remember like after this event, the price of Denebs like skyrocketed. Okay, anyways, moving on.
Versus the other Duelist Alliance decks, in my opinion. It represents an old...
Hold on.
Thought back then. 100% correct. Tellarknight is one of the most overhyped decks of all time. It was not competitive versus the other Duelist Alliance deck.
I can't say wasn't competitive. Like, you're not gonna sell me on like Tellarknights can't beat Burning Abyss and can't beat Shadows. Like, Shadows wasn't that hard of a matchup. Burning Abyss was like that was a fucking when people learned how to actually play Burning Abyss, chat. When Burning Abyss got like its second set of support, like it actually even with Trevier, like that was a hard matchup. In fact, it was kind of like, chat, if you were playing before Secret Forces, it wasn't even that troll to just main deck Shadow Mirror, honestly. Like, cause that Burning, it was really hard to outgrind that deck. Seriously. Yeah, Burning Abyss was like the original tier. Just like randomly milling cards to the graveyard. Everything triggers when it hits the graveyard, no matter how it gets there. Like, it was a very rough matchup. Like, very, very. Dante was the only way to kill Dante, chat, and not have it trigger was basically to just Trevor the shit to the hand. So yeah, it was a rough matchup for Tellarknight.
In my opinion. It represents an old world style of deck building, which is understandable because Duelist Alliance is like the point in which Yu-Gi-Oh! Changed from being like a big fuck-off combo fest to being like, I'm going to set 4 back row and hope for the best. So Tellarknight was the last really good deck that set 4 back row and hoped for the best. Like, normal summoned a Deneb and was like, I'll get him next turn. I feel like DDD has to be mentioned. It was strong in the OCG. Everybody hyped it up. It saw maybe a week of viability before Zodiac was released and completely took over the format. Want to go a little deeper into this one. DDD was forecasted to be the best deck by a country mile after the release of DD Lamia. It was not. People talk about Zodiac like it was the reason that DDD was not competitive, and while certainly Zodiac overshadowed everything before it, I'd argue DDD wasn't really that competitive beforehand either. Certainly it was a top tier deck, maybe even the best deck, but not the best deck by—
I'm gonna be honest, I still think that this is the hardest situation probably in Yu-Gi-Oh history, chat, to accurately evaluate. How good should DDD have been in the TCG? That question, like, how good should DDD have been? Because MBT's saying it wasn't that, but like, it was a tier 1 deck in the OCG. They hit multiple cards. They hit Lamnia, they hit the green slime, if I'm not mistaken. They both went to 2. Like, they hit, I think they hit overall like 3 cards in DDD. So it was straight up a meta deck. And our card pools were fairly the same, except we did not have Raging Tempest. When Raging Tempest came out, forget about it. Zodiac was just going to run over everything. So I don't know. I still feel like if you're saying no Raging Tempest comes out, like, are you telling me DDD's still going to flop? Like, I don't agree with that, chat. What says you guys? Exactly. Chat, making 3 negates? What year is this? Is this 2015 or 14, chat? Making 3 negates in 2014 is fucking insane. There is no Dark Ruler. There is no Spirit. I don't know if Spirit. What was the meta? We can look that up. But like, just know 3 negates, bro. How many kaijus you gonna have for me? Because you could end on like Siegfried, Crystal Wing, and something else. Like, DDD
by such a margin
cool.
that people had predicted, because there were just other interactive combo decks in that format. Like, if you have to open a specific 4-card hand to end on 4 pieces of interaction with DDD, or you can play Metal Foes, which ends on 2, plus the ability to play past turn 1, plus it never bricks, like, that's a pretty easy call. Coder leads with a—
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not ready to say Metaphos was, or DDD couldn't beat Metaphos. Because, yeah, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, so it should have been Invasion Vengeance Atenza. That would have been like the meta. So you have like Totally Heroes, Paleo Frog, Metaphos. I'm not seeing like DDD getting mopped by those decks, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's the format. Like Metaphos, Monarchs? No, I don't think Monarchs. It was supposed it was supposed to, I think, Dark Emperor, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be legal for the NAWCQ that year. I'm pretty sure Pendulum Domination, chat, was supposed to be legal for Nationals. Like right around that time of July, it was supposed to come out like the week of Nationals, like a Monday or something like that. It was supposed to be legal at Nats, and then Konami pushed it back like 6 months, and it was like, all right, well, this is dead. I think this deck is so overrated, bro. Like, stop with these cringe Striker builds. Striker Draco, Striker Orcus. Like, all of these builds are just worse than regular Striker. There's a reason we found out that these decks were playable, you know, at the very end, because like they were fucking worse.
Very interesting one. Striker Orcus was a playable deck for so long during TOS format, and it wasn't until much later near the end of the format the deck was discovered. It turned out to be much stronger than any of the TOS decks pure. So this is kind of true. Oh, literally Jesse Cotton is in this thread saying the same thing. It wasn't good until Chaos Impact. There were 2 events that should have been played but hadn't been discussed, but it was definitely not good that whole time. This is an MBT call-out, but there were 2 events that should have been played.
Nah, it wasn't good until Chaos Impact. IP? Okay. There was 2 events that should have been played, but hadn't been discussed. Definitely not that whole time. Without Nib. And then let's just checking Thunder. This would have been a lot worse. There you go. Shut up, Coder. Mask.
But hadn't been discussed, but it
I remember that video, right? Because at Konami, we hate you.
It was definitely not good that whole time. This is an MBT call-out, but definitely Runic being a viable deck. Certainly, I got Runic wrong because I expected it to be played like it was in the OCG, where it was like largely a mill condition and didn't make too much of a splash. We just played it as 20 instant fusions. I feel like we are currently...
You know what, Chet? You guys remember those early Runic videos that came out where they were going for like synchros and stuff? Was that just never the wave? Because I scoffed at that. I don't know if you guys I super scoffed at that idea of like trying to play Runic as like a combo deck. Was that essentially just like the predecessor for Neteria Runic? Because I feel like that's what Neteria Runic became. I remember PBB hyped this deck. Because I know what MBT is basically saying, that we just played Runic as an engine, not pure. And the OCG, by the way, that's all they play. Like, the only thing they play is pure Runic. And that's, like, considered S tier right now. So I kind of wonder if those, like, combo builds of, like, Runic were ever going to be, like, a thing. Because I always just scoffed at them and was like, this shit seems whack.
Mill condition and didn't make too much of a splash. We just played it as 20 instant fusions. I feel like we are currently mid-realization about furniture, aka IKEA Labyrinth. Me too. Although, you could argue that the reason that IKEA Labyrinth is good is because Droll started being played as a result of Super Heavy Samurai being released and being very good, and it's a monster combo deck that doesn't lose to Droll. But it is interesting that about a month and a half ago, we were all convinced the only possible way you could play Labyrinth in any sort of competitive capacity was 3 Big Lady and 37 trap cards, and
now this is a compelling point. I actually like this one a lot, because this doesn't have that much hindsight of we got to play 50 years and now, but like this feels 100. Because if Chad, even if you just look at this year, Ryan Yu, second place at YCS Vegas, Floodgate Labyrinth. Everyone just assumes that's the way to play Labyrinth. The furniture cards are all bad, and then it's like, no, these furniture cards can just take over. Like they can just take over the game. They allow you to get so many pluses when resolving one big welcome, and you just like plus, and plus they allow you to have like actual turn 1 plays, which this deck doesn't have if you don't play
9 traps total, and trying to like make Chaos Angel and associate
Yu-Gi-Oh! History revisionism. I find this one to be very compelling, to be honest.
8-star synchros turn 1. It's very funny. Master Duel entry. For a long time in NR format, we played with Megalith and Metal Foes as the de facto best decks. Then we started interacting with the Japanese NR player base, and we learned Vendread was absolutely broken, and we just hadn't tried it enough. So I think that there's a lot in NR that's really powerful and unexplored, just because the...
What is NR? Like, only using normal rares or something? Master Duel is... It's so fake in this regard. Like, there's only best of ones. NR, what does that only mean? You can use rares or commons, like normal. See, dude, now we're just creating fake formats. Oh my, first one of actually fake formats. Like, now we're just playing broke boy Yu-Gi-Oh decks, which is, I think that's an MBT set. Like, I don't even get this now. If it was like we're just playing standard Master Duel format, I could at least give that a little credence. But now you're talking about like when you go on Pokemon Showdown and you play Yu-Yu, or you play, whatever I think it's like you just play with the shitty. Now it's like, bro, you're just playing little fake formats within a fake format.
Player base is smaller.
New visas just dropped.
Cards that people can't type.
Okay, but as long as the new versus cards didn't drop, because if the new versus cards dropped and they're broken, I still have like 3 versus cards to pick up. So, and I mean 3 as in 3 literal. I need 2 rocks and 1 Mad Love.
Identify at a glance, but Vendread is one of the most independently difficult archetypes to place in the history of time. It's just like all the cards do stuff that is hard to conceptualize, and as a result, it's difficult to engage with just how strong this archetype can be. Are we getting NR Part 2? Something maybe a little different. The speedrun community for the Sacred Cards, a 2002 Game Boy Advance game, was broken wide open 3 years ago when people discovered how to properly manipulate the RNG to FTK every single time with Destiny board. Hell yes. Not exactly the format.
That's okay. That's actually hilarious. Unlike the Master Duel one, which is stupid. This is hilarious. FTK with Destiny board.
With the RNG to FTK every single time with Destiny board. Hell yes. Not exactly the format I was talking about, but we'll take it. I think now, with the benefit of hindsight, we can recognize that not only were a lot of formats that we thought were bad actually secretly good, a lot of formats we thought were good were actually secretly bad. Thankfully, I don't think any of this is going to happen for the most recent format, because no one's ever going to play that shit again.